Hello, I'm Daniel. Today I am going to read to you a little verse from this text, Trust in Mind, and I'm going to comment on that, and then I'll lead a meditation. So, this is the verse. It's a very short one. As long as you remain in one extreme or the other, you will never know oneness. As long as you remain in one extreme or the other, you will never know oneness. Extremes. That's what this is about. It's about having obsession with duality and thinking this is good, this is bad all the time, but it's also about extremes in our meditation practice. So if we sit in our practice and then we struggle some and we're like, oh my God, my practice was so horrible. Well, that's an extreme. That's an extreme. That is just holding on like this and thinking this practice has to be really meaningful and powerful and good, or else it's not worth doing. And if we hold on to that extreme, we're going to have a tough time. We're going to have a tough time because we are going to always feel like our practice is going nowhere if we have that kind of active attitude. So what we want to learn how to do is have a passive attitude, and that is we do the practice and we just do the practice, and we're not thinking so hard about results, because that's what we do. We think too hard about results and we cling like this, and it just gets in the way. It just gets in the way. And then the opposite of that is, of course, being really just lazy in our practice and not even doing it, not even just skipping whenever we feel like it, just not doing it with any regularity. That's sort of the other extreme of that. One is trying too hard and the other one is just not trying. And the Buddha described our practice as like playing an instrument with strings. I think he described it as a lute, but I don't know what a lute is, so let's say it's a guitar instead. But it's just that if the strings are really loose, it might not make a sound at all. It's not going to make the sound right. And if the strings are really tight, it's also not going to make the sound right, and they could even break. So that's what we're talking about here. If the strings are too loose, that is just, oh, I just meditate when I feel like it. And if the strings are too tight, that is just, I've got to get enlightened right now. It's that, I want to call it get enlightened or die trying. And that's not helpful, because it makes it so that when it's hard for us to meditate, when our minds are wandering the whole time, when we're really struggling, then we're devastated. Then we're just thinking, oh, this is right. And the thing that happens is people with that kind of attitude, they get burned out. They get burned out and they quit because they're holding on just too tightly. So that oneness that's referenced is sort of recognizing our Buddha nature. It's sort of recognizing our connection to the world around us. It's dialing in and learning to pay attention and see things clearly. We tend to build walls around ourselves and make enemies out of everything all the time and struggle when we don't need to. And what we can learn how to do instead is just recognize that we're part of a connected universe. We're connected to everything around us, and we don't have to make enemies out of everything all the time. We can just be here and just flow with what's happening and not get caught up and obsessed when something doesn't go the way we want it to. When when the person we like doesn't like us, or when we don't get the promotion at work, or when we don't feel like we're getting what we deserve. What I always say that we're trying to learn how to do is, when things go wrong, we're trying to learn how to say, right now it's like this, what can I do? Right now it's like this, what can I do? Instead of what we currently say, which is, why is this happening to me? Why now? Why this? And that's something we really struggle with. And it's not good for us. It's not good for us. So, that's all I wanted to say about that verse. So, let's have a little meditation now. I want to lead the practice that is called open awareness. Sometimes it's called silent illumination, is the name it was given to me when it was taught to me. And I think that name sounds really kind of heavy and weird. So I like to call it open awareness. Some people call it the do nothing practice, and I think that's good too. So I want you to sit up as straight as you can and kind of rock back and forth. Find your seat, find a position where your legs aren't going to fall asleep. So if you're sitting in a chair, firmly plant your feet on the floor, and if you're sitting on the floor, cross your legs. Cross your legs, find a position where you can cross your legs comfortably. And this is an eyes open practice, so what I'm going to do is just look ahead of me at the wall that's on the other side of you, and I'm just going to fix my attention there. That being said, if you don't have a wall, like I do, I have a wall that's not distracting. If you don't have that, an alternative is to kind of fix your gaze downward and have your attention on the floor. Find a part of the floor that's not distracting. If you don't have a wall or a floor that's not distracting, I think closing your eyes is okay. I prefer an open eyes practice, but I do think closing your eyes is okay. It's not a problem. And with your hands, I recommend, there's two different forms I recommend. And one, I call it the bowl, and it's one hand on top of the other, thumbs gently touching, resting in your lap. And the other form I recommend, and by the way, some people say it's really important which hand is on top. I don't think it matters, but it's one hand on top of the other, thumbs touching, so that your thumbs and hands make a kind of circle, kind of a bowl shape. That's why I call it the bowl. Some people call it the cosmic mudra, and I think that is way too fancy a name for what we're doing. Mudra just means hand position, so they're saying cosmic hand position. But the other form that I like to recommend is called relaxation, or the relaxation mudra, and that's just putting your hands on your knees. And sit up as straight as you can. I've always found when I start to slouch, also my mind is wandering. We don't always think of the mind and the body as connected, but they totally are, okay? So I have tended to notice sometimes my mind is wandering, and I'm like, man, my mind is wandering a lot. And then I notice, oh, I'm slouching. And then I straighten my back, and then my mind stops wandering. That can really happen. So I'm going to ring my bell, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and then we will go into the meditation. And I will instruct you, but there won't be a whole lot of instruction because this is an open awareness practice. There's actually not a lot that we're trying to do. But we find that actually, in trying to not do anything, there's a lot happening. So, I'm going to ring the bell. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, and then we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Now that we've taken the moments to hear the bell and to breathe, our intention with this practice is to just be still and just notice what's happening. Just notice what's happening. And so what does that mean? It means there's no anchor for our practice. We're not following the breath. We don't have a mantra. We don't have anything we're reflecting on or visualizing. We are just being present and noticing what our minds do. And to an extent, what our bodies do as well. As I said, they are totally connected. So, our intention is for thoughts and feelings that enter our awareness to just notice them, but then don't attach to them. Just let them go. So, our awareness is like the sky, and all our thoughts and feelings, all the things that come up to distract us, are like clouds. And sure, sometimes there's a lot of clouds and sometimes there's a little, but they're just passing through the sky, and they always pass. So what we want to do is just notice them. So if I start to think I'm hungry, I just notice, oh, I'm hungry. And what I don't want to do, what I want to learn how to not do, is just notice I'm hungry and not start thinking of 10 different kinds of food. But just notice I'm hungry and be aware of it and let that thought pass. Or if I notice I'm bored, or if I notice I'm lonely, or if I'm impatient and wondering when this will be over, I just notice that feeling. I just notice it, and I don't attach to it. I just let it go. And what you'll find is that when you do this practice over and over, the thoughts and feelings start to show up a little less and start to be easier to not hold on to. So we're going to sit in silence, being still here like this, not really trying to do anything, but just noticing what's happening in our awareness for a few minutes. And I will ring the bell 2 times at the end. that is going to be it for the day. So thank you for taking this time to sit with me in open awareness, and have a good day.